Hello, welcome back to Unit Recaps, where today we will be looking back at Unit 2, The Age of Exploration. So where we left off, we acknowledged that the world was split in two. We had a new world in the Americas and an old world with Europe, Asia, and Africa, and they were divided. Without the proper technology, it was impossible for people to move from one side to the other. But that would change during the Age of Exploration. Europe will set its eyes on a new place. They'd set their eyes on Asia. And what we see happen in the 1400s is with Europe losing its trading partner, with Europe learning about new goods in Asia and having a desire to find gold and spread Christianity, they will start to venture out. They'll start to look for sea routes to reach Asia. And we get a bunch of examples of this, and it starts with this guy, Prince Henry the Navigator, who finances this whole thing. He uses his money to promote the Age of Exploration. And then we have a bunch of explorers who will follow in his ideas. We have Bartolomeu Diaz, who travels from Portugal to the Cape of Good Hope, which is that tip of Africa. Then right after that, we have Vasco da Gama, another Portuguese explorer. He's the first to sail all the way around Africa and reach India. So we see these explorers starting to get out of Europe to find sea routes to new places. Christopher Columbus comes next. Christopher Columbus was sent by Spain. He believes that he can go around the globe, leave Europe, come out the other side, and get to Asia. He didn't realize that the Americas were in the way, so that is how, when he lands in the Caribbean, we say Christopher Columbus discovered the New World. Really, he discovered it for Europe. France, England, they will join in the Age of Exploration. We have Jacques Cartier, who will claim Canada for the French. We have Henry Hudson, who will sail for England. He explores New York. He discovers the Hudson River, the Hudson Bay. That's where they get their names. And then Ferdinand Magellan, who will circumnavigate the globe, which means go all the way around. He starts in Europe, he goes around the globe, and ends back there. And this has a huge impact on the world, where we had two separate sides of the globe. We had a new world and we had an old world. They were separate, but because of European exploration, that barrier is now shattered. People from Europe, people from Asia, people from Africa, they can now connect with the Americas. And this is really, really important. But the part of the reason that this happens now, part of the reason that this is all possible in the first place, is because the 1400s is a time where this is actually possible with new technology. We have the caravel. It's a ship that uses wind, so it's faster, it can get further, it's sturdier. We have technology like the compass. Explorers now in the ocean can figure out which direction they're facing, or they can use an astrolabe to read the stars, and they can tell how far north or south they are. So now that they can get further, now that they can know where they are, technology like that has made exploration possible. And it creates a world that is now globally connected, where we used to have that barrier. The two sides can now interact. And one place that we see this is with the Columbian Exchange, which is named after Christopher Columbus, where goods that did not exist in Europe, goods that did not exist in the Americas, can now be exchanged. So in here, we see corn, we see beans, we see squash, tomatoes, and potatoes. They can now get brought back to Europe for the very first time ever. And the same thing goes the other way. Cows and horses, bananas, grapes, even diseases are brought to the Americas, which never existed there. We're seeing the world become more globally connected. And we do have another example of this. The next piece up here does show how globally connected the world is, but it also happens to be one of the greatest evils that humanity has ever seen, and it comes in the form of this triangle trade, or the Atlantic slave trade, where people are taken from Africa. They are enslaved. It is kidnapping, but they're taken from Africa and sent over to the New World. They're sent over to America, and they're forced to work for resources. Those resources then get sent back to Europe, where they could be turned into goods. They can be, so we have, if we have sugar being sent back from America over to Europe, it could be turned into something like rum that can be sold for money. Europe can now go and enslave more people in Africa, and it becomes this vicious cycle. It's completely evil, but it does show how globally connected the world is. It is worth noting that voyages during this time, they were brutal. The conditions, they were long, ships can be broken, lost in storms. They had to battle the elements, heat, cold, sickness. So voyages during the Age of Exploration were not fun. This really is the exploration part, but there is a broader picture here. There is another effect on the world that we do need to look at. The Age of Exploration really did have this huge impact on Europe, where now European countries like England and France and Spain will take the reins. They will start to control a lot of what goes on. And this is because once they start exploring, they continue into expanding. They will expand into the New World. Thanks to these 3 Gs. They will go and expand the New World for God, meaning the desire to spread Christianity. They'll do it for gold, the desire to become rich, and glory, the desire to take land as a form of pride for their country. This is the time period where Spain will send people, where Spanish conquistadors will go and conquer the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca civilizations from our last unit. But Europe is expanding. They are exploring and expanding into the New World, and that's what helps them take the reins. And during this time, again, not so much about exploration itself, but as another effect, we do get a religious battle that happens as a result. While Spain is Catholic, while the country of Spain follows the Catholic Church, England during this time will have its own movement. They'll become Protestant. Protestants are still Christians, they still believe in the religion itself, but they start to believe that the church, and they start to believe that the Catholic Pope is corrupt. So they leave the Catholic Church, causing a conflict where Spain tries to invade the country of England. This invasion does fail. England holds off the invasion, sends the Spanish fleet to the bottom of the ocean, and England becomes the dominant power in the world, which is important to note going into our 3rd unit. But these are some of our key notes of what we just looked at in this unit. We get to see that explorers beginning to travel breaks the barrier between the old and the new world. This is all possible because of new technologies like the caravel, like the compass, like the astrolabe. Exploration is now possible in the first place. And as a result, we get a world that is globally connected, and European countries like England, like Spain, France, and Portugal become the powerful ones. They start to take the reins, and we get to see what they do moving forward into our 3rd unit. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped review and recap Unit 2 on exploration.